For the first time in its history, San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge was closed to cars and open for people today. The occasion, the bridge's 50th birthday. As John Blackstone reports, hundreds of thousands turned out to celebrate.
Saying happy birthday to the Golden Gate Bridge this morning required rising in darkness well before dawn. But a bridge as elegant as the Golden Gate can make a lot of friends in 50 years. There was supposed to be an opening ceremony. Nobody waited. Formalities were canceled.
Happy birthday, dear Golden Gate. Happy birthday, Golden Girl.
Though the hour was early, many a glass was filled with champagne. Many a toast proposed. But some of the partygoers thought it a little too early for champagne. There were countless picnics in the middle of what is usually part of a very busy freeway. Some picnics fancier than others.
We had to do something extremely yuppie, like have croissants and champagne on the bridge.
The idea was to appreciate the bridge as it cannot usually be appreciated, slowly and without cars. But this being San Francisco, there also seemed a great desire to cross the bridge as it had never been crossed before. In ways few people would imagine crossing it. In ways few people would wish to cross it. But soon, crossing the bridge in any way became a major problem.
But people aren't satisfied just to be on the Golden Gate Bridge. It seems everybody wants to be right in the center of the Golden Gate Bridge.
And that brought human gridlock, a traffic jam worse than any Monday morning commute.
People going to San Francisco on the ocean side and move to San Francisco.
The bridge was closed for 2 hours longer than expected. On the Golden Gate's opening day 50 years ago, a San Francisco newspaper described a city mildly mad and happily hysterical, all because of a bridge. True again, 50 years later. John Blackstone, CBS News, San Francisco.
Sunday, the best view in town is on KPIX Channel 5. From dawn walk at sunrise, special anniversary events happen live all day on Channel 5. Then at 8 p.m., the grand finale. KPIX brings you exclusive views of the spectacular fireworks and dramatic live coverage from land, sea, and air. The magic and the memories begin Sunday on KPIX Channel 5, your official Golden Gate Bridge celebration station.
Happy 50th birthday, Golden Gate Bridge.
Now, an Eyewitness News special edition on the 50th anniversary of the Golden Gate Bridge.
220 feet above the water, another sea, a sea of people. More than 750,000 of them walking the bridge at daybreak, putting their footprints on history. So many people, the bridge director says a slight hump in the roadway at center span was flattened out. On the other side of town this morning, spirits flattened out. Thousands of people in downtown San Francisco unable to get a bus to the bridge walk. Some waited there until there was nothing left to wait for because the bridge walk was history by then. But the complete story of this celebration is still being written. At Crissy Field, for instance, there's a carnival atmosphere, party hats all around. Throngs of people reveling in this special day, waiting to thrill to the fireworks tonight. Good evening, I'm Dave McElhatton with Wendy Dakuta. We're at the Sherman House tonight for our special coverage of this remarkable day.
Today, you'll not only see the birthday bridge from almost every conceivable angle, you'll also hear the stories of how the span has touched so many hundreds of thousands of lives on its 50th anniversary.
To start things off, we're going to switch to Kate Kelly. She's at Crissy Field for an update on the celebration there. Kate?
Well, Dave, the party is in full swing here at Crissy Field. This is the entertainment center, and I'll tell you, it has been a nonstop show since 2 this afternoon. Zazu Pitts is behind me right now. They're heating up the crowd, and thousands are gathering as we get ready for tonight's big show and fireworks display. First, let's go to someone who has a lot quieter view, but a better view. That's David Jackson. He's up on the top of the South Tower. David.
Kate, I'm not necessarily sure that it's quieter in any way. We thought maybe our gale force winds might slow down as the evening wore on, but that has certainly not been the case up here. Although after 13 hours up on the tower, I'm starting to get to trust the good old South Pier here, all 44 million pounds of it. I think it'll probably hold up through the evening. We should have a spectacular view tonight just after 9 o'clock of the fireworks. And another person, of course, who will have a very good view, will be down on the water, and that'll be Mike Hegedus. Mike.
Yes, we don't have any bridge facts for you down here coming live from the Jacqueline out of Marina Bay in Richmond, but we do have a bay fact. That is, the wind is getting just a little calmer, and the water is actually getting smoother, thank goodness. They've started to move some of the fireworks barges into place for tonight's fireworks extravaganza. We're going to have one great seat here. But then, of course, Mac and Wendy, your seats aren't too bad either.
We've got terrific seats here, although we do have a little bit of wind. The day's festivities did not start, again, with the bridge walk for thousands of disappointed people. Big problems with public transportation forced them to miss the historic walk across the Golden Gate. Getting to San Francisco was pretty easy for a lot of folks from the East Bay. They took advantage of special BART trains and started running at 3 in the morning. In fact, so many people rode BART that the parking lots at Rockridge, MacArthur, and Oakland West were full by 4:30 a.m. BART did its part to get the bridge walkers to San Francisco, but once in the city, it was a nightmare, a different story entirely. Muni was not prepared for the deluge of riders at their Embarcadero shuttle stop. The line stretched more than 3 blocks along Drum Street. Some people gave up and turned around right there, and those who did had a long ordeal.
How long have you been waiting?
2 hours. 2.5 hours.
At least those who waited at the Embarcadero finally got on the bus. Out in the Richmond and Sunset districts of the city, thousands of riders watched as jammed Muni buses rolled right by. And when they did get picked up, a lot of them arrived at the bridge too late to join in the walk across the Golden Gate. Matt.
There were also some big problems for people on the peninsula who tried to take Caltrain to the bridge walk. Caltrain scheduled only one train with just 10 cars for a special run from San Jose to the city. The San Francisco station master estimates 5,000 passengers were waiting for one train.
The train was supposed to be there at 4, did not arrive until about 5, and they told us earlier that they stopped putting people on the train in Mountain View. And so we're just stranded.
Many of those left in the lurch by the first train caught a second one, but arrived at least 2 hours later than planned, and many of them missed the bridge walk altogether. Those who made it just couldn't wait to get on the Golden Gate Bridge and get that golden celebration going. The opening ceremonies were set for 6 this morning, but thousands of bridge walkers got an early start. Doug Murphy was on the bridge with the first walkers when they made their way across. He's kept an eye on all the activity there all day and joins us now live. I haven't seen you since early this morning, Mr. Murphy.
Dave, I haven't seen you, and I want to hand it to you. Dave McElhatton and Bonnie Chastain, they were out here early this morning along with everybody else. They were out here about 5:30. This is what caused all the problems today, I guess. This was what everybody was celebrating, the Golden Gate Bridge. The traffic, pedestrian-wise, moving quite nicely, moderate. The traffic on the road is going just fine. All in all, you'd have to say it's been a great day, unless you got stuck in one of those commuter jams. A great day, but not exactly what everybody expected. It was supposed to start with a ceremony, but instead it started with a free-for-all. This was the scene at mid-span a half hour before the bridge was supposed to open. Hundreds of thousands of people stormed the bridge, all wanting to become part of history, and all wanting to wish the Golden Gate happy birthday. This was the first time since the bridge was completed in May of '37 that it was open to pedestrians, while most were making their first trip, some making a trip down memory lane.
It was very exciting. No TVs, no helicopters, not as many people, lots of costumes.
That period in our lives was very important, and the bridge was part of it. We watched it grow. You know, we knew people working on it, and we watched it being built.
As sweet as the visit was, it was slow and crowded. So many people had rushed to the center of the bridge, the normal bow and the suspension span flattened out. Bridge engineers say it is the greatest load ever placed on the span. And topside, the reason was obvious. People were nose to nose and not moving.
People going to land on this side, and let's move.
Slowly, though, and very slowly, the footlock began to break. People were moving, some in the most unusual ways.
This is an amazing bridge, and this is an amazing ball, and the challenge is equal.
How was the traffic?
Pretty bad. Pretty bad. Yeah, we got caught up for a while, but that just allowed us to stop and drink a few more bottles of champagne.
We were in gridlock for a full hour. Gridlock for a full hour.
No, isn't it called Spoke Lock with you guys?
Spoke Lock, it was. It was bicycle mania out there.
Well, they're making an official estimate of something like 800,000 people. I think we've reported that, but I talked to a lot of people on the bridge tonight. They're coming out for the first time. They were tied up in all that traffic, so I think if you count the whole day, there's going to be a lot more than 800,000. It's been a crazy day, but it's been a day that people won't forget soon. Dave, I know you won't because you got up early this morning.
That's right. And I remember it took me 40 minutes to get across to Vista Point and 3 hours to get back to San Francisco.
You met all 800,000 of those people.
They were all stepping on my toes all along the way.
They were there.
But they were a good group. It was a lot of fun.
You know, in spite of all the careful planning for the bridge walk, as Doug was mentioning, organizers were overwhelmed by the number of people who turned up. The biggest problem was clearing the bridge afterwards so the other events could get started. Ben Williams tells us it seemed that no one wanted the Dawn Walk to end.
The Great Bridge Walk almost created its own schedule. It was supposed to end at 9:30, but was still going strong at that time. Many of those who made the walk didn't want to leave once they got on the span, and at one point, machines were called out to try to clear the roadway. Scores of youngsters who got caught up in the picnic atmosphere were separated from their families and had to be rounded up from a lost and found station.
Who are you with?
My mom and a whole bunch of other friends.
Are you scared?
Not really.
Yeah, you think they're worried about you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What happened to you?
I was with her.
Needless to say, everything is way behind schedule. The multitude that turned out this morning was bigger than anybody expected, so officials had to throw out the timetable. The cavalcade of vintage cars also started late, but by this time, the schedule was so short, nobody cared. Meanwhile, motorists waiting for the bridge to open for auto traffic were lined up for several blocks on the Lombard approach to the span.
You're how late?
Well, church started at 11.
So they have no organ music today, huh?
They don't have a musician at all, right?
How long did you expect to wait this morning, or did you expect to have to wait?
Well, we didn't think we'd have to wait this long.
It was after noon when the bridge finally got back to normal business, and lots of people were late for appointments on both ends of it, but most of those will look back on the inconvenience as a small price to pay to attend the historic bash for the Golden Gate Bridge. In San Francisco, I'm Ben Williams, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
I think we're going to go up to Jim Bunn right now for a look up above. No, we're not going to. We're going to
do
go.
that in just a minute.
We're going to go.
What was the official number of people that we've gotten now?
800,000 is what we're talking about. Some other numbers we have that illustrate just how well behaved the crowd was this morning. With all of the people on the bridge, only 15 injuries were reported, all of them minor. And officials report only 3 arrests were made for public intoxication.
The transportation hassles this morning did have a bright side. Those of you that were trapped may not think so, but it did. All day long, local agencies have been gearing up to make sure that the same problems aren't repeated again tonight for the big fireworks show. Right now, Manny Ramos is standing by on Doyle Drive to tell us how the Muni is reacting to the huge crowd of visitors that overwhelmed them today. Manny?
Well, Dave, I'm actually at the place where Old Mason and New Mason meet, and this is a place where you can pick up a bus right after the fireworks show. I spoke to Muni officials, and they told me they were a bit surprised by what happened this morning. It wasn't as bad as they thought it would be. It was worse, but they promised they'll have everything prepared for tonight.
Muni promises there will be more than 300 buses running tonight, twice as many as were running this morning. But earlier today, people weren't taking any chances. They were leaving the celebration early.
Really bad, really bad. And they said there'd be plenty.
Muni canceled days off and vacations, called in every available driver. It has called in buses from AC Transit in the East Bay, Sam Trans, and Santa Clara County Transit.
To get people away from the Marina Green to the various locations that we picked them up this morning.
Muni officials say the buses will run all night if necessary. They promise no one will be left stranded.
We're going to run until there's no people to carry.
As of late this afternoon, BART was scheduled to close at midnight. That is when the last scheduled train will leave. But BART officials are talking about using so-called sweep trains to pick up any stragglers. They are all advising you not to drive your car into the city. Besides the traffic,
there's no place to park all through the city unless you go clear up on top of those hills up here.
You've seen a lot of people illegally park then?
Yep, parked in red zones, white zones, yellow zones.
Don't be fooled into thinking it's too crowded for anyone to bother with tickets or towing.
Since there's so many cars in the parking lot already, so we just parked here and walked around. 3 hours, 4 hours. Yeah. Came back and he just let me take my car away.
There are more cars and people than anyone expected. But public transit officials promise they have learned their lesson from this morning, and everything, especially Muni, will be running more smoothly.
Besides Muni, Samtrans will be running until 12:17, and Caltrain has added a new train to go to the South Bay. It'll be leaving at 11:45. This is being called the best cooperation between transit systems ever seen. Now let's go live to Jim Bunn in Chopper 5.
I think actually we're going to come back here and we will take you to Jim Bunn, who's up in Chopper 5 and has been watching the traffic situation all day, all of the traffic problems that we had anticipated, some of them happening, some of them not.
Now
Jim?
all the switches are in place?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, as a matter of fact, all the switches are in place. One of the most amazing things that has happened today is that we have had virtually no traffic problems on the highways, but we are beginning to see down here, this is the Waldo grade heading toward the Golden Gate Bridge. What you're looking at is traffic heading toward the Alexander Avenue exit, and what's happening is the Highway Patrol has that area blocked off, so cars that were hoping to come up here and perhaps find a place to park to watch the fireworks tonight are moving on into San Francisco, so we may be seeing some traffic problems in there a little bit earlier. But the problem that we were talking about that surprised us more than anything else today was the problem of trying to find any traffic problems. Let's go to some videotape now and look at this. This is the toll plaza for the Bay Bridge late this afternoon. This is what was coming into San Francisco, hoping to get to the fireworks tonight. The best guess any of us could have as far as what caused all of this was something similar to what happened in Los Angeles for the Summer Olympic Games. Evidently, this is the best guess we can make as we come back live now. Everybody heard about the traffic problems, anticipating that. They said they're not going to drive in, they're going to take public transportation, and evidently that's what happened, because we have been up literally since 5 o'clock this morning, and trust me, there have not been any traffic jams that we have been able to spot anywhere from the air. Reporting live in Chopper 5, I'm Jim Bunn. Dave and Wendy, back to you.
All right, thank you, Jim. You can confirm that. It's the quickest trip you made across the Bay Bridge.
It's a real tribute to the planning and the intelligence of the people in the Bay Area.
Of course, the crowning touch for all of this celebrating is going to be the fireworks display, the pièce de résistance, with the bridge acting as a sort of a candelabra. That's scheduled to start about 9:30 tonight, but your best view of it all will be right here on Channel 5. We'll be watching it, and you'll be watching it along with us. All the color and pageantry, and let's see, then there's the 2-hour bridge anniversary show that starts at 8 o'clock. And don't miss the highlights of all the day's festivities on Eyewitness News Nightcast at 11. We'll give you a condensed course of how the day went.
And, of course, we're all hoping for perfect weather for those fireworks tonight for the big display. We're going to check in with Joel Bartlett, who is standing by in the Red Headlands, to see if he can pinpoint a forecast for us. And Joel, your reputation is on the line tonight.
Oh, my gosh. Well, Wendy, it's been a great day, weather-wise and otherwise, and it looks to me like it's going to stay that way. As you can see, we have mostly sunny skies right now, a few scattered low clouds making passes over the Bay Area, and we'll see scattered clouds throughout the rest of the evening. But the official weather forecast for the fireworks tonight is kazam. I mean, things are going to be cracking and popping out here, and it's quite breezy. So while the fireworks may be fired off from the Golden Gate Bridge, they may actually end up over in Oakland tonight. As you can see, it is kind of chilly. So if you're coming out, be sure to dress warmly. But it does look like we're going to have nice weather for the fireworks. And joining me now is my good buddy Doug McConnell, who we've already had the official passing of the thermometer. Right. Now we're going to pass the official weatherman hat here.
This is a very important moment.
Yes. Where is Muttley tonight, by the way?
Well, Muttley's watching at home, staying off the traffic. You know, Joel, this is also the passing of the microphone.
It is indeed.
And you promised to stay. Watch me do the weather forecast for tomorrow. A little later on, and you'll give me my critique later, right?
Yeah, so the pressure's on you, not me. It's your responsibility right now, Doug.
I tell you, we do have our Marin sunglasses on here, so Dave and Wendy will be back with the weather a little bit later on. Back to you.
What I want to know is there any hope now that we have a new weather briefer if you can turn off the wind machine?
Yes.
Well, we'll do our best. We'll do our best out here. We're at the Marin Headlands.
As much as we can.
It's my responsibility. All right, Joel, I'm going to take care of it. We'll see what I can do. I'll talk to you a little bit later.
Okay.
Actually, it is gorgeous.
Thank you, Doug.
Gorgeous out here.
It is. Just as long as we stay nailed down to this seat and don't blow off to the neighbor's house. Still ahead tonight, we'll show you how Mother Nature played a big hand in today's Golden Gate Bridge celebration. And also, you know, the weather changed the plans of sailors on the bay, forcing some parties to stay at dockside. Hank Plant profiles partying on the bay.
And Joe Fonzie kept up with people celebrating the afternoon away and working hard to keep warm. The Golden Gate Bridge is a special symbol to sailors, and part of today's celebration was a parade of ships. It was made even more exciting by winds that picked up late this morning and are still going right now. A Coast Guard cutter led the way from the Marin side of the bay toward the Golden Gate. Fire boats from Oakland and San Francisco added to the festive scene. Sailboats in the parade streaked through the waves, including the tall ship, the Californian, which is a gold ship replica. And there you see the tall ship today, the Jacqueline, carrying a KPIX crew through the Whitecaps this afternoon. Our David Jackson had a real bird's eye view of the parade of ships. David?
I certainly did, Wendy. Wendy earlier says wind with a little lilt in her voice. Tell me about the wind. This is really something up here. And it's been like this all day long, as you mentioned. Beautiful down on the bay. We took a look earlier. It was about 11:30 in the morning, and all the tall ships came through. They made sort of a brief pass underneath the mid-span of the Golden Gate here, and then turned left and swung down along Crissy Field, and it was a beautiful sight for everybody. Just after that, you know, up here, we got a real good look at the air show also, and those airplanes flying a little bit lower than we are here at 750 feet, a lot of them passing right in between the towers. Both of the events very spectacular and long, and very, very beautiful today, in spite of all the wind that we've been in. I'd like to know a little bit more, in fact, about what it was like to be on the ships during the Tall Ship Parade. Mike Hegedus did just that, and he's standing by right now, still on the Tall Ship Jacqueline. Mike.
David, it was a gorgeous sight being on board the Jacqueline during the Parade of Tall Ships. And the wind didn't seem to bother any of the big boats, but the wind all day long has caused a small craft advisory to go out. And we're about as lonely as Columbus discovering the New World out here right now. It has been pretty devoid of those 4,000 to 5,000 ships that the Coast Guard were afraid of coming. And it wasn't so much that people didn't go to their boats today, but as our Hank Plankett found out, it's the fact that once they were on those boats, they didn't do anything with them.
Mother Nature had a special birthday gift for boaters today. Rough waters, high winds, and small craft warnings. That sent thousands of sailors running for cover into coves and harbors all over the bay. The harbors then began to look like shopping center parking lots at Christmas, landlocking all the plans that people had made for the day.
We wanted to come out and enjoy the sun in our bathing suits.
What happened?
The weather decided to sneak on us.
Well, how are you going to make up for that?
We're going tequila.
Others made the best of things in more vigorous ways.
We water skied across the bay, right under the bridge, back around by Fisherman Wharf.
Pretty rough out there to water ski, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Boats in were. Hardest problem was just getting around the boats.
And still others were forced to reevaluate tonight's plans on where to watch the fireworks.
Where are you going to watch the fireworks tonight? From your boat?
No, I'm going back in because I talked to several boaters that were out for the Bay Bridge fireworks, and it gets too hectic out there and kind of dangerous.
He's not the only one who learned from the Bay Bridge experience, and even more people learned that tonight's best view of the festivities may not be at sea, but on dry land, anchored to a television set.
The lesson of this whole day seems to have been you've just got to take things as they happen. Of course, sailors know that all the time. I guess that's why they call our boat the C'est La Vie. In the middle of the bay, Hank Plant, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
Well, the boats that Hank didn't get a chance to see are some of these barges. The one that you're looking at now, one of the fireworks barges. There will be 6 of them in total, and they are being moved into position on San Francisco Bay right now. There will be 3 of them lined up in front of Crissy Field, 2 more near the towers of the bridge, and then one carrying $100,000 worth of fireworks donated by Japan as a sister city and sister bridge situation that will also be detonated tonight. So the fireworks are going into place, and while there aren't going to be 4,000 to 5,000 ships out here, we're going to be here throughout the evening. Live and on board the Tall Ship Jacqueline out of Marina Bay in Richmond, I'm Mike Hegedus. Mac and Wendy, back to you.
All right, hang in there, Mikey. We can see him right from here. You can just see right between our shoulders. That looks like a little dot down there, but that's a pretty big ship. 3-masted schooner, and I know he's happy he's aboard that because they can ride that out. You know, thousands of people have been doing their celebrating on dry land, as was suggested a moment ago, taking advantage of the fun at Crissy Field. There's been everything there, from an old-fashioned carnival to games and concession stands and music and shows. The crowds began showing up after this morning's bridge walk, and many of them have stayed on through the afternoon getting ready for the fireworks show and the big performance. Kate Kelly's there at Crissy Field right now. What's been going on since we last talked to you, Kate?
David, is so noisy here I can barely hear you, but this is definitely a great party. I'll tell you, all day long people have been spread out from Fort Point to Fort Mason, a 3-mile stretch. As you say, they've been eating and having a great time. But I'll tell you, it's heating up. Zazu Pitts Memorial Orchestra is on an encore performance right now. And you can see the crowd is starting to come down towards this end of the field. They know that the lineup tonight is going to be great. And the fireworks show, of course, a little bit later on. Obviously, the celebration is a chance for many of these people to have fun. Today's crowds have also provided an opportunity for others to cash in. And Joe Fonzi has a little bit more on that.
While people were waiting for the entertainment to start at Crissy Field today, they seemed to be motivated by two things: keeping warm and making money. This was a great example of free enterprise at its best.
Come on now, buy it, man. Buy it, button. Beautiful band.
Get your flags, take it home for a souvenir. You don't have a home, take it on 6th Street.
Yeah, definitely. You know, out here peddling tickets and smiling away. People are interested in this.
I believe so. Capitalism at its best. After this exercise in supply and demand, many people went home with some unusual mementos with which to remember this day. Others brought such things with them, and many wore them on their heads.
$3 for a beautiful band. Come on, $3 now.
All day long, people have been filing past here after at least trying to cross the bridge this morning. Very few of them actually made it, but that didn't seem to affect their spirits.
It was crazy. There was just people all over the place. It was wall-to-wall folks. I've never seen so many people in one place in all my life.
Going across the bridge is pretty good, and all of a sudden we hit a wall of people just before we hit the other side, and then the whole thing stopped, and nobody moved.
Most people out here today say they plan on being back at least 25 years from now when the bridge celebrates its 75th birthday. At Crissy Field, Joe Fonzi, Channel 5, Eyewitness News.
Just take a look out here and you can see that space is at a premium already. And as we head into the night's lineup, we're going to see people like Carol Channing, Tony Bennett, the San Francisco Symphony, and of course the fireworks. They get underway about 9:15. That's the latest from Crissy Field. Dave and Wendy, back to you now.
All right, thank you, Kate. When?
Well, the birthday party for the Golden Gate Bridge was not the only remembrance in the Bay Area today. Coming up, the celebration of Memorial Day weekend in the South Bay.
And a special tribute for the men who lost their lives on board the USS Star.